Movie news. Today's movie news headlines are Black Adam and Superman is returning. Welcome to Mirror Domain's Movie News, your place for entertainment headlines. And on today's show, there was a big article out about the DCEU. What does it all mean? Is there going to be a Flash 2? Matt Reeves is going to be working on, spin-offs perhaps, with some Batman villains. What's happening with the Zatanna movie? Harrison Ford confirmed in the MCU. But we start off today's show by talking about Black Adam that opens up this week, guys. Black Adam. And what is going to be the rating? We've known this for a while, but this article caught my eye. Black Adam originally received an R rating for violence. Really? Well, that's kind of cool. Well, we know it's going to be PG-13, and we knew that for a while now, right? But because, it's a comic book movie, and they want to have younger people go see it. It can't be rated R. I mean, come on. For extreme violence. I guess he's going to throw down in this movie. Well, come on. It's The Rock. We see that he throws people up in the air and stuff like that. He's Black Adam. It just caught my eye, It now appears that Black Adam was nearly R-rated due to this violence. During an interview with Collider, the film's producers said that several submissions to the MPAA resulted in R ratings. One of the things he is known for is aggression and violence, and to do a Black Adam movie that didn't have that just wouldn't have been authentic. To do a Black Adam movie that didn't have that just wouldn't have been that authentic, he said. So they tried to put it in. So I'm guessing that perhaps there is going to be an R-rated cut of Black Adam. Now, you don't need to have blood and gore and stuff like that. But I'm guessing it's like some of the stuff that he does is, hey, it's interesting, right? So there's a big long quote here about them trying to have a lot of edits. Actually, there are some personal moments that we really love, but we had to let them go. But we never compromised. Okay, well, that's kind of an oxymoron right there, right? We had to let them go, but we never compromised with these moments that we love. But whatever. We never had to cut a scene. We had some really cool moments, and if you notice, there are some great moments when Black Adam is in the fly bike chase sequence and drops one of the inter-gang soldiers. Okay, we've seen that in the teaser, so. Will Black Adam's R-rated cut ever be released? Maybe on streaming or hard copy, like extra features or something like that. We see some deleted scenes. But we're getting the PG-13 copy in the theaters, guys. Black Adam opens up this week, and I thought it was just a good way to start us off today's movie news headlines because I'm hyped for it. I'm hyped. In just 2 days, guys. 2 days, 4 p.m. on Thursday, I'm seeing Black Adam, 4 p.m. Let's take a look at the tomato meter. We're going to be following this every day of the week from now on in, guys. Black Adam, because the embargo's still up, so we've only had like the social media reactions to it, and they've been fairly positive for the most part. But knowing that it was going to be rated R, it's PG-13 there, 2 hours to 4 minutes. Okay, so if I see it on 4 p.m. on Thursday, then around 6:45-ish, 7 o'clock, you'll see my straight out of the theater reaction for Black Adam, because I'm going to stick around for the post-credit scenes, because I hear there's something super about the post-credit scenes for Black Adam. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to check this out? And that rated R cut, could it be? Maybe. All right, guys, you're watching Mirror Domain's Movie News. We do a daily movie news show, 12 p.m. Eastern, Monday to Friday, where you can check out all these movie news headlines that I go through rather quickly. And right there are all my social media handles where, hey, if you like those little shorts that we do here on the channel, you can find extended versions of those on TikTok and Instagram. All right, let's get into the big article of the day, guys. The DCEU Reboot overview, because this came out on the Hollywood Reporter, and everybody's mining this for the content, myself included, as you can see there in the headlines. But the DCE Reboot, it's because that Zaslav came in and he said, okay, we're not going to go forward with certain projects like Batgirl and stuff like that. And we're just going to have like this 10-year plan that's going to be around Superman. Yes, Man of Steel 2, it looks like it's going to happen. Or at least another Superman. I don't know if it's going to be Man of Steel 2. We'll talk about that in a few moments. But this big article up, let's take a look at some of the highlights in this, because Matt Reeves is involved with this. Dwayne Johnson is involved with this. James Gunn is involved with this. So that there's a lot to take here. So we started off with the Black Adam stuff, right? That's happening this week. And we hear that post-credit scenes are going to reveal Superman, and that Dwayne Johnson wanted it to go towards a Black Adam Superman showdown. So that will be confirmed later on this week for sure. I'm going to probably post 2 straight out of the theater reactions. Just my straight reaction, and then I'll post like a quick little spoiler confirmation video, right? Confirmation, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I will. Why not? It'll be just like a quick little 5-second video anyway. A confirmation if he is or isn't, right? Because that's what I like to do. Anyway, and the Hollywood Reporter can exclusively report that James Gunn, okay, let's talk about James Gunn, filmmaker behind Marvel's, yeah, we know he's from the MCU and Guardians of the Galaxy, but he also did for the DC, The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, which he's working on season 2 right now, right? Sources tell THR that Gunn and producer Peter Safran are in talks with Warner's for a mystery movie, possibly more. Mystery movie. Yeah, we heard this too from Gunn, right? That he's been working, he wants to go back to the DCEU and work with that. So what could that possibly be? A mystery movie and possibly more that Gunn could tackle. Okay. Safran's working on that Shazam sequel. Warner Bros. Had no comment, but the one insider observes a carving of the comic company's intellectual assets is happening. What? A carving of the comic company's intellectual assets is happening. DC is definitely in play, says this person. How much play may depend on your perspective from inside or outside the studio. So it isn't clear what Gunn is going to be working on. We hear these projects that get axed, like Zatanna, the Wonder Twins, and all that stuff. So it's not going to be one of that. But we'll talk about Zatanna here in a few moments, because that also comes up in this article, that everybody's going to be like ripping apart for content for the next day or so. Okay, so then the big headline is Warner's has an intense desire to reprise Henry Cavill iteration of the hero Superman, right? The project that would essentially be Man of Steel 2 is being produced by Charles Roven and is currently in a search for writers. Okay? And then it goes on to talk about there's a wish list, of course, like Christopher McQuarrie from the Mission Impossible movies and stuff like that. But sources say no official outreach has been made. Okay, so the director for another Man of Steel would be up there. So let's stop there in this article and talk about Man of Steel 2, because I know that that's something that a lot of people are very interested in. It's pretty much confirmed then, right? They're going to go ahead, and they knew that Superman and Batman are going to be the backbone of this 10-year plan. We hear that, Flash is going to be good. We're probably going to get a Flash 2 in some iteration. We hear that the Wonder Woman 3 script is done by Patty Jenkins. So let's go in and talk about Man of Steel 2 right now, and we'll go back to this DC story here. But yeah, Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill gets very promising update. A lot of sites will be running with this today. So it's going to be across the board. I would say it's pretty much confirmed. He's back, right? He's going to be back, and that's good. Will it still have the Man of Steel moniker, though? Like, will it be an official sequel to it? Because, guys, I got to give you a bit of a bummer news here. If you're a big fan of the Snyderverse, the Snyder Cut, where we see the black suit Superman, is not going to be official canon. Remember, Zaslav and them came out and said the theatrical release is going to be the canon version of their universe. So the Snyderverse Justice League is just a standalone all by itself. And I know that'll bum people out because it'll always be their canon in their head, but I almost think, guys, that the Man of Steel moniker, the name itself, I think that they're going to jettison that too. I think they're just going to call it Superman, because they want to make sure that people understand that they're moving on from the Snyderverse. And the best way to do that is just to get rid of the Man of Steel title. I know people will be up in arms and say, well, you can't do that. Well, why not? He's still Superman. Why not? And because you heard that the old regime didn't want Henry Cavill. The old regime didn't want to use the Superman theme, John Williams Superman theme. This new iteration from Zaslav do. So I would say, okay, fine, then, and get rid of the Man of Steel, whatever. Just call it Superman, whatever, or the next Superman movie, and bring in the John Williams Superman theme and use it for Henry Cavill. Bring that in. That would be cool. That's what I would like to see. So it's reportedly in development. No, I'd say it's pretty much confirmed. DC fans have taken to social media to celebrate from this article from Hollywood Reporter that we've been talking about. It's going to be produced by Charles Roven. So there you go. It's currently in search for writers. So any other script that's been out there or any other inklings, they're going to hopefully use these writers to tie in their long-term narrative, right? Like somebody's going to be there marshaling it in towards the next Justice League movie or the next like big showdown between perhaps him and Black Adam. There's going to be like a long-term plan in there. Come on, Zaslav, you got to get this right. But some of the fans out there are like, Henry Cavill's Man of Steel 2 is happening and it's already the most anticipated comic movie for me. We won. I don't know if you really won because, as I said, they still may jettison the Man of Steel 2 title because they really want to wash people's mouths out of what happened there, right? They want to move on. Just like the way that Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm wanted to move on from the prequels when they made the Star Wars sequels. I would expect very much a scene like if there's a Man of Steel 2, there's going to be like a scene of like maybe like a ZS or something somebody will have, and somebody will close their fists and say, this will start to make it right. And people won't like it, but you have to let that version of it go, I think. And I think this moving in a different direction is good. So DC fans hearing about the Batman 2 and Man of Steel 2. Now, the Batman 2, like Matt Reeves' Batman, is not going to be tied to this, but it's also part of the story. So we'll talk about that in just a bit. But you can see some from the reactions out there on social media. Man of Steel is confirmed. They would like to have Christopher McQuarrie, but he's kind of busy right now, right? So he's still doing work with Tom Cruise. So that's what you get out of this, guys. That's cool. So they haven't had any writers, and you heard that Cavill was in LA shooting reshoots for something, and perhaps he was in the Superman costume. So it's just, I think for the first stage here, guys, yes, you can take a sigh of relief and say, Superman is back. He's back 100%, and he's going to be Henry Cavill because that's what people want to see, right? Well, it remains to be seen. Like they could still keep the Man of Steel, but I'm still siding towards they may not, and I don't care as long as Henry Cavill's back because I want to see him take another movie on and just get rid of the reluctant superhero bit. He's Superman. Come on. Let's go back to that DCEU comic, that article up there on Hollywood Reporter. So yeah, Black Adam is coming out, and The Rock says that he still wants to move it towards that showdown. So this comes as he talks surprise cameo at the end of Black Adam. Surprise cameo. Well, we heard that he was just going to be mentioned, but we may get the actual confirmation. So stand by for Thursday for the official confirmation. I'm somebody who doesn't care about spoilers. If he's there, he's there. And if he isn't, he isn't. I'm not going to be upset. The Man of Steel 2 news is more happy for me because I do want to see him get his chance for there. Okay. So they also go in there and talk about what does this mean for J.J. Abrams' Superman movie that was going to be like the retelling of it, but with a black Superman. And it just, I think that's going to get shelved. Yeah, poor JJ and his little side project there. Yeah, I don't know what you were doing with that, JJ. Our Glass Viking says, Superman with the new threats and high stakes would be refreshing. Henry is the ideal Superman. He'll be busy with cameos and crossover movies if fully recast. And I heard that he's signed, actually, I heard that Ben Affleck is signed for more recently. I don't think that comes up in this article, though, and I couldn't find anything substantial about it. So that's just a rumor right now. It's going to get confirmed, like for sure. If they got Cavill back, then they're going to bring back Ben Affleck, and that's awesome in my book. And hopefully, we will get a solo Ben Affleck Batman versus Deathstroke. That's what we want to see, right, guys? That's what we want to see. But let's go over and talk about the Matt Reeves Batman. Oh wait, just not yet. Not yet. Let's talk about what else came out about this. Is just because it ties into that iteration, like this. That's Superman. Is Flash 2. Flash 2. Okay, so we know that Flash, Ezra Miller, is coming out next year, and it's apparently one of the really best DC movies ever made, so we'll have to see how that goes. But apparently Flash 2 is, well, it's already being written. Actually, I hear that it's already done. Flash 2 movie script reportedly already written. Yeah, by Aquaman scribe. By the Aquaman, the guy who wrote Aquaman. David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick. Ooh, that's a long name. Yeah, so it's already written. So they already know where they were wanting to head that franchise. So that's at least interesting. I don't know if it remains what Ezra's fate's going to be. If people are going to be able to just forget and move on and still accept him as the Flash, or if he goes to jail, if he ends up in the Slammer, then yeah, they'll definitely have to recast. But we'll have to see. Let's just take a look at what this story says. That yeah, because Ben Affleck is going to be cameoing in the Flash movie, back as Batman, and I would well, it's still going to have Michael Keaton's Batman, but I expect that they'll change it back to Ben Affleck's Batman. For sure. For sure. Because the original plan was to have Michael Keaton be the Batman from then on, but no, I think they'll go back to Ben Affleck. So let's take a look at what this is said here. The Hollywood Reporter recently published a multiple development updates learned that the Flash 2 movie, with sources reporting that the script has already been written for a potential sequel by Aquaman scribe. So there you go. Flash 2 will only move forward should the first movie be successful. Well, you got to remember, the casual people out there, they don't know about Ezra Miller's disgrace, right? So when the movie comes out and they start ramping up the press again, then people will be excited about it. We'll have to see how it happens, because you never know what's going on with the Ezra Miller saga and how that's going to impact. But he'll definitely be part of the DCEU. The Flash character himself will be part of the DCEU, but will it be Ezra Miller's Flash or somebody else like Dylan O'Brien coming in to replace him? It remains to be seen. But there's a script already there ready to go, and that's also coming out of this big Hollywood Reporter thing. Okay, so we've gone through those two bits. Let's address a little bit about Matt Reeves, because that came out too in this article. Matt Reeves. Meanwhile, in Gotham City, filmmaker Matt Reeves is quietly making his own expansion plans. Reeves is developing a sequel to the Batman. Yes, that we heard. It's supposed to be like 4 years now that away, though, which grows. Yeah, okay, we know that. And then the spin-off from Colin Farrell's Penguin is supposed to be shooting next year, right? But Reeves is plotting more. Okay, curious. The filmmaker is meeting with writers and directors to build out movies. Yes, movies, not just series, focused on Batman's rogues gallery, both established and more obscure, with characters ranging from Scarecrow to Clayface to Professor Pig. Cool, man. All those projects are very clear in early gestations. So, yeah. All right, so let's go over and talk about this, the Batman Villains Rogues Gallery, because that's also very interesting. Matt Reeves, he wants to build out his universe. And then hopefully maybe all the villains will come in and duel against Robert Pattinson's Batman, which is still probably my second favorite movie of the year, if not the first still. No, I think it's still my favorite movie of the year. Awesome. Hey, guys, and we did a full live watch along for the Batman, guys, so it's up on the channel right now. Go check that out. Okay, so, yeah, developing... Wow, cool. What did we hear? There was a director that came out that wrote a movie about one of the villains as a side project. I forgot who that was, James. I'm going to have to look that up. The guy who did Barbarian, right? The guy who did Barbarian wanted to do a spin-off movie that he just had an idea for, and he wrote it, right? And, okay, so you would expect that perhaps that Matt Reeves will contact that guy and want to know what that script is. The Barbarian is a horror movie that just came out, right? I think it was The Barbarian. Yeah. But yeah, who that just opens the door. It's okay. Well, we know that we heard that Paul Dano wants to come back in some fashion. We know that Colin Farrell's going to be back as Penguin for sure. Zoe Kravitz is obviously going to be the Catwoman. We don't know if there's going to be a spin-off about that, but he said more obscure, like Professor Pig. That's cool, man. So he wants to make these movies on its side, and I would say, guys, make it smaller budget, make it a little bit more focused in on these like true crime episodes of the villains, and they kind of like they don't have to get spoiled by Batman, but they know Batman's out there, and Batman ruins their plans, and it'll end with them wanting to get Batman in some fashion, and then they could tie that into Batman stories moving forward. And that makes me really excited. It really does. Now they've done Professor Pig before on like shows like Gotham, which actually did a fairly good job. They did a good job of these kinds of characters in Gotham. I don't expect them to draw that much on them. Like there's Professor Pig. They did Scarecrow, working in with like a psychological aspect to it and stuff like that. Dealing with his son. Was like Jonathan Crane, right? Turns into the Scarecrow, but his dad was like doing experiments on him and stuff like that. It was just cool. Yeah, there's really lots of material there to mine. And as far as like obscurity, the one that I want to see, guys, the one I want to see, obviously, is Mr. Freeze, and that's also from Gotham. Who they did a great job on Gotham, of making that character. He was one of my favorites actually because of the way that he showed up, and just the way that they did the suit. But I'm thinking that Matt Reeves, because of all the chatter out there, I think they may want to do some kind of a serious version of Mr. Freeze in one of their sequels for the Batman. Like I would hope that maybe perhaps the Batman 2 will be something like that with Mr. Freeze, because you heard him talking about it, right? You heard him talking about it, and there's a way that you can do it. Like, yeah, he has to stay in like a freezer or something, or like something happens to him where he's got to keep his body cold for some reason, otherwise he'll die. Then he builds a suit, right? And he's got to obviously deal with his dying wife and stuff like that. And he's like, so there's something there that could definitely happen, right? Yeah, Zach Kreger wrote and directed The Barbarian. Yeah, I think it was Kreger, that guy, who said something that he wrote a side script for like his Batman spin-off movie. I covered it here on the channel. I should have pulled it. Man. I think I said something about that. Hardaway. Headway? No? Okay, so Barbarian director. Yeah, it was Barbarian. Yeah, that guy. He said that he wrote the script already for it, so that'll come together for sure. I think I'd be surprised if Matt Reeves didn't at least out of curiosity figure out what script he did. I mean, I think it was perhaps for something like Killer Croc, but that would be cool. Anyway, guys, Professor Pig, Scarecrow movies. Would you want to see something like that? Or maybe tie them together. Have these obscure villains come out and build up to something. Hugo Strange is something that else I would want to see from these spin-offs, for sure, from the Batman villains. There's just so much there. I think the core ones, though, I think he wants to hold on. Matt Reeves wants to hold on to those for his telling of this iteration of the Batman, right? We'll have to see. I don't know. It looks and it sounds like he wants to stretch his creative ideas out there, and that's cool in my books, because Batman does have some good villains that he can draw from and explore for sure. Okay, what else is out of this big article up on Hollywood Reporter? It's unclear where Superman leaves the Abrams, who is still on track to produce Coates' movie entered Last Son of Krypton. Yeah, larger universe outside the DC movie continuity, much like Todd Phillips' Joker. Yeah, we know that. But we know that Constantine and Zatanna were scrapped. Okay, so Constantine, well, actually it wasn't scrapped, because we just heard that, Constantine 2 with Keanu Reeves is coming. It's coming down the pipe. So maybe the solo Constantine movie got scrapped, but there's Constantine 2 with Keanu Reeves. Now, could that be tied into the DCEU in some capacity? That would be cool. That would be cool, but the Zatanna movie apparently has got shelved. So let's talk about that part of this big article. Zatanna movie from promising young woman writer, no longer at HBO Max. Because, okay, there you go. There's your reasoning right there. Because it was going to be a straight-to-streaming movie at HBO Max, and Zaslav axed everything that was going to be straight-to-streaming, and that included the Batgirl movie, because he said that, well, he doesn't want things meant for the small screen. He wants to produce stuff meant for the theatrical experience. Don't aim low, aim high. But, you know, apparently the property, Zatanna, this movie script is still being shopped around to other streaming services. Now, the thing about Zatanna is that it's her costume for most people, right? The people like her costume, the way that she looks in her costume. And for some reason, I would think that if they ever made a Zatanna movie, you would not see her in that costume. You wouldn't, which kind of sucks. No, I want to see her in that costume. She doesn't have to be in it all the time, but that's what I would like to see. But yeah, moving from HBO Max means that Justice League Dark. Oh yeah, she's part of the Justice League Dark too, right? But from the promising young woman writer, she still wants to somehow get this made. I have to see how that turns out. It's kind of a bummer. I know she's a fan favorite, and as I said, I think it's mostly because of the costume. But Zatanna movie, promising young woman, no longer at HBO Max. Okay, bummer. All right. Okay, let's try to wrap up this big article, because it is the big bulky one of the day, the DC reboot stuff, and I'm really going over it like quickly, so you guys can go and read this. It's up on the Hollywood Reporter, and everybody's going to be talking about it today. Okay, Joker 2 is coming out as well. Flash, Aquaman's coming out next year. For the DC boss. Okay, so then there's a quote here from Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson's quote: "The best position that I could be for DC is one of an advisor. Yeah, we saw that the other week, where I can help. I love DC. It's in my blood." Johnson told Variety about on the Black Adam red carpet. "In the spirit of growing up with the DC universe, I'm here to help in any way that I can, including looking for and finding for the right leaders or leaders. The search marches on as IP continues to be taken off the board by power players. Right now it's the Wild West," says one insider. "Everyone is trying to grab as much as they can, and that is exactly what happens in a leadership vacuum." Leadership vacuum. So somebody's out there saying that all of this stuff is moving forward and stuff is happening in a vacuum? No, I think Zaslav still has his thumb on that axe, or, wielding things. But let's just expand a little bit more on some quotes here from Johnson, because it's kind of curious what he said here too. Dwayne Johnson says the DCEU can cross over with Joker, the Batman, Matt Reeves' Batman, and more DC properties. What the heck is he talking about? I thought those were going to be like standalone kinds of things. But hey, Black Adam comes out this Friday. I'm hyped for it. He's got a quote about this, because you can tell he's thinking large. He's thinking big. He's thinking about the long-term plan. He is. Put Dwayne Johnson in charge of the DCEU. Why not? Now, he may not be suitable for it because he's so busy, but, as an advisor, why not? I'd take that. So let's take a look at this quote here from Dwayne Johnson. "The fans will always guide you where you need to go." Yes, and it's not fan service by giving fans what they want, people. It's not. Well, it is, but I mean, it's not a negative thing. It's not kneeling to them or like bowing to them. Why? If you want a cheeseburger, give me a cheeseburger. Don't give me an Angus thing with and say, well, it's sort of a cheeseburger. And it's like, no, it's not. Just give me what I want, and this is what we want. And The Rock recognizes that. Don't say, well, I'm giving this talented director the right to write this movie, and he'll make whatever movie he wants to, and then you have to like it, yes or no. No. Here's what we want. Give it to us. We want the Black Adam Superman showdown. Give it to us. Why would you not do that? Anyway, that's the new era I talk about in the DC universe and the DC universe. They haven't always listened to fans in the past, but things are different. In Black Adam, things are different. So that's why we can introduce the GSA, the Justice Society of America. That's why in Black Adam, Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Flash, they all coexist in our world. Black Adam's not over here, and Joker's not over here, and Justice League is over here. In our world, they all exist, ideally in my mind, so in his mind, right? It's all a little crazy. They all cross paths because the fans want that. And there's a good creative way that we could figure that out. They all cross paths. I don't know. See, now the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, I think that would be a bit of a far stretch because it happens a little bit in the past, right? So somehow, unless there's like a fracturing of the space-time continuum, and he would just show up in a small part of like a big kind of like Avengers style kind of thing. That's the only way I could think of it. But I don't know if Joaquin would be up for that, right? I don't know. Well, he came back for Joker too. We'll have to see how that one pans out. But continuing on with the quote here. So Black Adam colliding with all of these characters in the DC universe, we come to the table with that open mind. If you said to me, Suicide Squad, I say, yes. Justice League, I say, yes. You name them. Open up the book for everything. So Dwayne Johnson is on board for everything. Now that's a little bit grand, I would say. It's a bit grand, it's a bit reaching, but at least his mind is open for possibilities. And that's exciting. That's exciting, right? That's what people want to hear. It's none of this, he's got to be dark and brooding, and how would the realistic world deal with Superman? It's like, no. You're putting constraints on your story doing that. Don't do that. Keep it open. Keep it wide open, guys. Because that's what people want to see. Dwayne Johnson nailed it right on the head. That's what people want to see. Why not give it to them? Because they'll come out in droves to pay for it. I would, for sure. Why not? I think we are going to get this showdown. Henry Cavill back. Yes, yes, yes. That's what I say, guys. And that's pretty much the bulk of the big DCEU reboot overview that THR had. I know it was a bit long, but I think I gave you all the highlights that you need to know from that. Our Viking says, Black Adam was a passion project for Dwayne. We just need talented actors with as much passion and love for comic book characters like Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds too, but that's MCU, and we'll have to see. Yeah. I don't know if there would ever be an MCU DC crossover. I don't know. Because the contracts, it's contracts and rights issues, guys. That's what would hold that up. Yeah, that's what you pretty much need to know. All right, guys, if you haven't watched this channel before, I hope you like the way that I quickly gave it to you as quickly as I could. No fluff. But what else can you find here on the channel? You can find full live watch-alongs for The House of the Dragon. Ooh, episode 9 was a real thriller there at the end. It wraps up next week, next Monday, guys. We do House of the Dragon reactions on Monday, 1:30 p.m. It'll be the season finale for House of the Dragon. And then on Wednesdays, we do Star Wars Andor, episode 7 this week. Tomorrow, guys, episode 7, 1:30 p.m. Hope you join us there. And this is the last week I'm promoting this. Last week on Thursday, we wrapped up She-Hulk. That's up on the channel right now. And we wrapped up Rings of Power on Friday. A lot of really positive reactions to that. I'm happy about that because I did enjoy Rings of Power. And on Saturdays, guys, if you're horror fans, then you want to know, we do a Horror Weekly Roundup where we talk about all the big horror movie news headlines that drop during the week. And yeah, we don't pull any punches with that for sure. And of course, they already had you know that we do the movie news there. And why listen to me? Because you know what? I'm a big movie fan. My nose is down in with all the headlines pretty much every day. I review movies all across the spectrum of genres out there. I don't hold any punches back for sure. And yeah, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this kind of stuff for sure. All right. Let's switch tones here, a little bit. Let's get back into the MCU. Now, this is something that was, it was pretty much confirmed last week, too. Just like the way the Superman stuff is confirmed. It's not really technically confirmed, but it pretty much is, that Henry Cavill's back as Superman. And this was kind of confirmed about Harrison Ford last week. Harrison Ford joining the Captain America 4. He will be taking over as General Ross. played by William Hurt previously, who passed on. So, yeah, we talked about this last week too, and yeah. So today we got confirmation. We got the confirmation from a big trade because the big trades weren't reporting it. But okay, so he's going to appear in the Thunderbolts, and he's also going to appear in Captain America 4. I think that's when we're first going to see him, because we just last saw Thunderbolt Ross, General Ross, in the Black Widow movie, right? It was the last time. It was a de-aged version of him, but cool. Ross Ford will appear as Ross in Captain America New World Order, which will star Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson. Julius Ona from Cloverfield Paradox is helming that movie. That one still gives me a little bit of pause. I don't know. The movie will take place after the events of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Well, obviously, because he became Captain America in that. But then, of course, the article goes on to say that Ford will also play Ross in the Thunderbolts movie, which is slated July 26, 2024. Okay. And this was first reported by the Hot Mic with Jeff Snyder and John Roca. Hey, we know those two guys. Yeah, we're familiar with them in the movie fandom universe here, guys. We know them. Okay, cool. And yeah, Snyder's an insider on this stuff, so he broke it. Credit to him. There you go. So there you go. Confirmation. Harrison Ford will definitely be Captain America. And they announced it now. It's no big deal. Most people, the casual fans out there won't know, but we're movie fans here, so having that little bit of confirmation, yeah. There you go. This story took me by surprise. Twister 2, the dish on Deadline says Twisters forecast for spring start as Universal Amblin finalized director for sequel for Twister 2. God, man, that's been a while since that movie came out. And it was just a fun little romp of a movie, right? Storm Chasers following Twisters, Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton, and the late Bill Paxton. And yeah, so Twisters. What do you guys think about this? Twisters. Here's what the dish has heard. Amblin Steven Spielberg himself flipped for the script by the Revenant scribe, Mark L. Smith, and his enthusiasm provided the impetus for the fast-tracking. So Spielberg is backing this himself, saying that, hey guys, it's good, let's go on with this Twisters. Top Gun Maverick helmer Joseph Kosinski was going to direct, but he fell off the film when he committed to Formula One racing movie for Brad Pitt. Okay, so that would have been cool, though, if Joseph Kosinski from Top Gun Maverick was going to do it. But then they're looking for directors. Steven Spielberg wants to make this happen from the writer who wrote The Revenant. So that's interesting. That's cool. Yeah, we need more. But let's take a look at what some of the names that they were shopping out there for directors. They haven't locked in a new director yet, but among the helmers under consideration are Oscar-winning Free Solo team Jimmy Chin and Elizabeth Che, Vassaril, and Dan Trachtenberg, who just directed Predator Prey. Wow, that would be a cool mix. But we got a bit of an update to this story, guys. Yeah, it doesn't look like Trachtenberg is going to be in on this one, because he debunked it himself. Trachtenberg, Twister 2 shortlist report debunked by appraised Dan Trachtenberg. Yes. So this was announced, Twister 2. But do you hear? I heard that perhaps with Helen Hunt, they want Helen Hunt to come back. But with Bill Paxton kind of passed on, there's ways that they could address that story. Yeah, for sure. But Dan Trachtenberg himself took to social medias to say, to whom it may concern, I am not making a Twister. And that's unfortunate because he's a very talented director. Predator Prey was awesome this year. It's going to be in my top 5 movies of this year for sure. And he also did like 10 Cloverfield Lane and stuff like that. I felt like that would have been good. But then people say, well, maybe he's busy with more Predator with Prey sequels. He could be doing that. I don't know. Whatever Trachtenberg does next, I'll be on board with that. But going back to the Twister story, yeah, they can continue on with more storm chasing. Why not? And it doesn't necessarily, Helen Hunt doesn't necessarily have to come back for that. But yeah, their story, these two were the heart of the story. They were the backbone of it. Philip Seymour Hoffman was in that too. That he couldn't come back because he's passed on. So let's take a look at some of the comments from the stories here. I just lived through Hurricane Ian in Florida. Oh yeah, definitely. Some people still have some PTSD, right? PTSD. I kind of come up with the storyline, but I had a son and not daughter. But anyway, it's a great idea, even better for IMAX. Oh yeah, and the visual effects today would make it look really scary. I think the sequel should be dedicated to Bill Paxton and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Their characters were killed while chasing a twister that collides with another storm chaser. Yeah, so people are already considering that some of the actors aren't there. Okay, Twister 2, Twisters. What do you guys think? Well, Amblin and Spielberg is behind it, producing it, so I think that would be cool. Arglass Viking says the technology has moved on a bit since Twister, so a good disaster movie is bound to draw the crowds. Don't fling the cows in this one, please. Yeah, no, I think they'll flip other things like boats, and I'm sure it'll get like the visual effects could definitely carry it now and make it look really, really scary. Not that these were scary. These were definitely scary, but like the computer technology can just make that look far more realistic too. But we'll have to see. They're out looking for a director to take on this project. No start date. I would expect if they find a director soon, it would start in 2024, maybe 25. Yeah. It would start in 2023. Late 2024 release, if not summer 2025, is what I would expect for Twisters. Yeah. All right. Brendan Fraser is in the headlines once again. So let's talk about him because The Whale comes out soon. And Brendan Fraser responds to the standing ovations and praise he's receiving for The Whale. And I will be going out to see The Whale because I hear this performance is good, but I'm looking forward to not only his performance, but Sadie Sink is in this movie from Stranger Things. And I want to see her interactions with him, right? So he was in an article for Variety here, talking about some of the standing ovations, and he says, "It felt so affirming. I was emotional because it was an acknowledgement that what we did is making some impact, and that kind of response feels completely new in my professional life. And from what I hear, it's deserved. And we all like Brendan Fraser, right? So that's cool. And it sounds like he's taking it very humble, right? And if you didn't know, The Whale is about an overweight gay character, a father who's estranged from her daughter, right? Yeah. So The Whale comes out December 9th in theaters. So that's still a little bit away, but it's still hitting some of the award circuit. And Brendan Fraser is humble. He's going to be nominated for Best Actor for sure. He's going to be nominated. And just a fun little side story from Brendan Fraser here, because he worked with Elizabeth, drop dead gorgeous Elizabeth Hurley in that movie a while back, right? What was it? Bedazzled? Yeah, Bedazzled there. I guess she went to see a screening with, and they met up and they had a picture together. Cool. Talking about aging gracefully. Look at Elizabeth Hurley. Wow. Phenomenal, in her 50s, and she still looks absolutely jaw-dropping. For sure. For sure. Elizabeth Hurley. Cool. All right, guys. We got a few more stories here that are not listed here on the side, but are in the description below. Let's take a look. Charlie Cox talks Daredevil and hopes for She-Hulk's return. Yeah, because we saw She-Hulk and Daredevil get together in She-Hulk. And actually, they had some really good chemistry. And Daredevil Reborn again is going to be on Disney Plus soon. They're filming it now, right? With Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, which is something I'm looking forward to. So hopefully we'll get some of that. But it does leave the door open that perhaps somehow, if they could work Tatiana Maslany in, like maybe as a cameo, like the way he cameoed in her series, I would be up on board for that because, as I said, they had really good chemistry, these two. They did. It worked. It was small, it was quick, it was efficient. Especially in that final scene in the finale of She-Hulk where they're sitting around the barbecue uh, table outside and they're just having like family moments. I think that would be for sure. Yeah, I would like to see that. So let's take a look at what Charlie Cox said here in an interview with EW. I have no idea. I hate to speculate. All I know is that it was really fun to do. From what I've heard, the feedback was very good and positive, and people really enjoyed it. I would be a huge supporter of She-Hulk making an appearance in our show, if that's possible. I don't know if it is. I should be clear about that. But who knows? Maybe it's just a vacation fling, or maybe there's more substance to it, and we can unpack it further in future iterations. So by the sounds of that, it sounds like all the scripts for season 1 of Daredevil Born Again. It doesn't sound like it included She-Hulk, but they could still include it in a post-credit scene somehow, and maybe set up another season there. I hope that's well received. I hear it's going to be like 16 episodes, so we won't be doing watch-alongs for that. 16 episodes. Oh, I really like six season episodes. I do. I like them. But you never know. The door is wide open there. Some live comments here. Arglass Viking says an Oscar nod for Brendan Fraser would put him right back on top for sure. And no, James, they had biology. Yeah. Okay, what's 12:48? We got some time here. There's an article up on Variety that I wanted to talk about box office flops. 27 great movies that flopped at the box office. And I was looking at this list yesterday, and I thought I would share this with you guys because there are some ones that I agree with. The word great is just subjective, right? Because this is just their opinions of great movies that flopped. Some of them were surprising, and some of them not so surprising, especially if you spend over $100 million on a musical, Spielberg. But let's take a look at their list and see if we agree with them. Number 1, 3,000 Years of Longing. Yeah, that I didn't get out to see it. I was like this close to going out to see it, but then something else came up that night that I was going to see it. I need to get around to see that. From George Miller, the guy who did Mad Max. Nobody went out to see 3,000 Years of Longing. It's on my must-see list for this year. I'll see it before the year's out. Bros. Well, we've talked about Bros. Yeah, that bombed. Nightmare Alley. Bombed. Yes, it did. Guillermo del Toro. And actually, it was a very well-shot movie. It was well-paced. I liked the tone of it. It was very noir. But man, this character was not likable at all. He was a real douchebag. He gets his comeuppance at the end, at least. Great cast. And I really felt for Rooney Mara in this one. I really like Rooney Mara. And I kind of want to revisit Nightmare Alley now, specifically for Rooney Mara. I do. Yeah, I would agree with that one. That was kind of not a great movie. It was a good movie. There's West Side Story, yes. I don't know what the heck you're doing spending over $100 million on this. I really don't. That's the puzzling. That's the only reason why it bombed. In the Heights, musicals. Yes, musicals. They just don't perform at the box office, guys, so you can't spend that much money. The Last Duel last year with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Jodie Comer bombed. Yeah. And that so it's not the directors, guys. It's because you had Del Toro on this list. You have George Miller on this list. You have Ridley Scott, right, on this list. You have Steven Spielberg on this list. Many Saints of Newark bombed. I never saw that. Suicide Squad. You got James Gunn on this list for movies that bombed. So it's not the directors, it's not the characters, it's not the actors. This is something about the properties here that people just don't want to go out and see these movies. And the Suicide Squad is a casualty that really sucks because it was a good movie. It was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. And you got to see Harley Quinn in this one. She really... Margot Robbie did it. That's probably my favorite Harley Quinn performance. That one I agree with is a bummer. The rhythm section, Blake Lively. I don't think I remember that one. Ad Astra. Brad Pitt space movie. It was boring. It was long. It had some interesting ideas. It did. There's aspects of it I liked. But yeah, it was 127 worldwide on a budget of 100. So that was not too much of a... Doctor Sleep is a casualty I would agree with. Very good sequel to The Shining. Good cast. Rose the Hat. This is the movie that made me fall in love with Rebecca Ferguson. Because she did a fantastic job as the villain. And then it was kind of cool to see Ewan McGregor play the older Danny Torrance. That was cool. These movies bombed partially because of pandemic, surely. Well, I'm sure that this article goes in there and talks about that. But, yeah. Annihilation, another big director, Alex Garland. I remember coming out of Annihilation. Oscar Isaac and Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman did a good job in this movie. It was just weird. It was a weird abstract story of this weird... I think it was two aliens that it's like their arrival on Earth, right? And they transform part of our planet into the atmosphere like of theirs, so that they can adapt to ours, right? It was a weird movie. That one's kind of a bummer, but like big directors here, guys, that just aren't making it. Destroyer with big actors like Nicole Kidman. This is a huge casualty too. Blade Runner. No, that's not pandemic. With Denis Villeneuve, another big director, couldn't make Blade Runner fly at the box office. It's about selling the movies, I think. This one didn't do a good job of selling the movie, because I think Blade Runner 2024 or 2049 is a masterpiece. I think it's easily one of Villeneuve's best films. It's probably one of my second favorite Villeneuve movie. No, third maybe, because for me, I think Arrival is probably my favorite. It used to be Enemy, but Enemy's number 2, and then Blade Runner, and then Prisoners, and then Dune, I think, for me, Villeneuve. Yeah, that's a casualty. Assassination of Jesse James, don't know too much about that one. Children of Men will be up there for a lot of people. That bombed. I know a lot of people like that, talking about Alfonso Cuarón. Academy Award winners, their movies just don't make money for some reason. Fight Club bombed. Really? That one's also, it didn't do a good job of selling what the movie's about. You just thought it was going to be about a bunch of guys beating each other up. It's not. It's about Tyler Durden and how crazy and insane he is. And that movie's message, it has not aged well. It's not aged well. Searching for self-chaos and destruction. But it's David Fincher, and that movie didn't do very well. And David Fincher's one of my favorite directors, except for when he's doing things like Mank. Grindhouse bombed. Rodriguez, Tarantino. Yeah, that one for sure. Scorsese bombed again with Hugo. Yeah. The Master. Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix bombed. Good performance, and this is probably the big reason why he wanted to play Joker too, because it's a similar kind of path of destruction there. Inherent Vice, I don't really care about that, Paul. Iron Giant bombed. 22. Number 22. Iron Giant. Mother. Yeah, there's another one, right? Aronofsky. Award winner. Jennifer Lawrence, award winner. Javier Bardem, award winner. And I kind of liked Mother, actually, though. But I haven't revisited it. I appreciated what they were doing. Under the Skin. Now, I don't think this one really... Well, 13 million production budget. Scarlett Johansson. And this one is creepy and eerie. I like Under the Skin quite a bit. It's one of my favorite weird alien movies. Warrior bombed. Wow. This is one of the first movies I ever reviewed for the channel. It bombed. Steve Jobs, that's understandable. Again, Danny Boyle bombed. Ali, Will Smith bombed. And he won an award for that, didn't he? So there you go. 27 movies that bombed. I just thought that was kind of fun to look at. This is as a quick glance. And if you agreed with some of them that they called out great movies that bombed. Okay, guys, one last story here that I want to talk about because it's kind of a lateral thing. It's not in the description. It's not going to show up here in the show notes either. Something that came up yesterday that I want to talk about. And I'll lead into what what's kind of started all this off, and it's about abusive relationships. Abigail Breslin says she's still healing after past abusive relationship, and that's a bummer because she's still young, and to get into a bad relationship. I hope sharing a bit more about my story at least helps some people feel a bit less alone, and that's what you got to do. You got to reach out for help. And the people that care about you will come in and swoop in. And even if you're in a situation of violence or like just other types of emotional abuse, even if you still love the person, the number one thing that I say that you got to do is just get away from them at first. Spend time away from them and really focus in. Do you like the person? Do you love them still? And you got to work through those emotions. And then realize that some relationships just don't work, right? And I hate to hear stories like this, but it's good to see that she's come out of it. She's getting, she got the help that she needed. Let's take a look. I was in a very abusive relationship for close to 2 years. It all started out perfectly. I was so in love. She's 26 now. Wrote in an Instagram post Friday. Unfortunately, my abuser took advantage of innocence and naivety, and the relationship subsequently became violent. Oof. And I'm somebody... Man, like for me, I don't respond well to it. I get very angry. I get frustrated by this, and I'm glad that she got the help that she needed, and she's helping other people do that, because that's kind of like what you have to do, right? You have to look at these stories, and if you're in a situation like this out there, realize that there's help out there. And my first step is always, guys, you got to realize too that you're also, it's not your fault that that other person is something's gone wrong in their brain, right? And because you're supposed to be somebody that they love. But I would say the first step is recognizing that you need time away from each other, and then you'll have to reassess and see if you can make amends. But for the most part, I would always say that you can't make amends for it. You just can't go back and risk ever falling back into old patterns, which many people do, right? So I'm glad for her. Kudos that she got the help that she needs, and that makes me feel a little bit good. But what brought this all up to date too is I saw a story that happened over the weekend, and this is more of a lateral thing too, that a Twitch star, Amaranth, came out and said that she also was in an abusive, like her husband, she was married, and she was in an abusive relationship. And I guess the backlash was huge for her. Now, she's made a lot of money being streaming online and stuff. And she said she even like held up a phone while she was talking to him, and he was like being like talking about killing her dogs or something like that, and how he had control all over her finances and stuff. Fans out there said that, they were upset that she hid the fact that she was married, and it's like, I don't care about that stuff. She got it out. She reached out for help, and she had to do it on a streaming service. And I'm streaming right now, right? So this is what I mean by lateral is that, and I still dabble a little bit with Twitch, but it's kind of like, when you see somebody reach out for help like this, you don't get angry at them, right? I don't see how, if you call yourself a fan of their work, whatever they do, and I know her stuff gets a little bit racy and stuff like that, but it's kind of like, if you're a fan of hers, why would you get mad at her for hiding that she was married? I totally dismissed that part of people's buttheadery, buffoonishness. It's buffoonery, right? If you're a fan of hers, then you should be upset that she's in this relationship that's very bad. It's very bad. And I'm glad that, yes, that's that first step. You reach out for help and you want some support. And it sounds like she's got it, because the husband was going to tie up all of her funds and take away a lot of the money that she's earned by herself, right? So, yeah. And it looks like for her, because they were married, you're going to need legal counsel for that, for sure. And as I said, because you're married too, then just take time apart from each other. Don't be together. Was life really worth living when you're like butting heads like that all the time? No, sometimes it's not. And you just got to learn to move on. You can still love each other, right? Like, I think about some of my past exes and I still care about them. I still love them. So it's not, I love them as people. I don't love them romantically. I care about them. If they ever came to me for help, I definitely for sure would be like, for sure. Yeah. Our relationship didn't work out, but I was never like abusive or anything like that. It's not like that. It's just, you just realize that that relationship isn't working. And it sounds like her too got help, right? Because the husband didn't sound like he was all together upstairs. And it's just, I don't know how you let yourself fall into that kind of trap. Let your mind go down that path. Some people just don't have the ability to hold that back if it's based out of jealousy or whatever. But instead of rambling on here in word salad, it's just kind of like, I'm glad that these people have reached out for help and have gotten it. So I'm somebody who I never watched her content. Whenever I log on to Twitch, I see that if she's on, that she's one of the trending top streamers or whatever. But yeah, I'm glad that she's getting help, or at least reportedly that she's getting help. And it's for reasons like that too that I don't announce that I'm going to be talking about it in the show, but because it impacted me this morning such a point that when you get upset by something, I think it's good to vocalize that too, right? It's cathartic, and it's a healthy way of dispelling the negative energy, right? So with me sharing that with you, it's me dispelling my negative energy about that. Okay, where are we at? It's 103 already. Wow, that's pretty much the show for today, guys. I guess what I'll do, because I know that everybody out there is going to be talking about the DCEU today and Superman and stuff like that. We'll do the old Twitter roundup here, if I can pull up the page. I just want to see if I missed any other big headlines out there. And let me know if you think about these topics too in the comments. Because I do these live streams, it's forever going down in the annals of history that this will be online in the out there. And as of October 18th, 2022, these are my thoughts on these subjects. Okay. All right. Okay. Nothing too big there. So let's go over to the Twitterverse and we'll round out today's show. Later on today, though, guys, we are going to be publishing Midnight Club episode 4 reactions. And I got a little bit of a new template that I'm kind of fooling around with. I may be migrating it from the phone to actually just doing it in front of you guys here like this. But it's still going to be quick. It's still going to only be like a minute, 2 minutes long kind of thing. Because I just don't want to spend that much time producing it, We'll have to see. And you get better audio quality. I found out when I was doing episode 3 and my phone, sometimes the audio got a little out of sync, and I didn't like that. So to keep things in sync, we'll keep on using my better setup, right? All right, let's take a look at the Twitterverse to see if I missed anything. 3 years ago, the Lighthouse. 3 years? The Lighthouse? God. Dumb Money. Paul Dano, Seth Rogen, Sebastian Stan, Shailene Woodley. Cool, haven't seen her in a while. And Pete Davidson. Film follows the chaos of GameStop stocks. Okay, so that's that stock story. Okay. But Shailene Woodley, I haven't seen her in a while. She's got a good head on her shoulders, too. She was dating the quarterback of Green Bay Packers, right? And then he kind of went off on a weird tangent of nuttery. And she's got her head on. She does a lot of humanitarian work and stuff like that. So she's awesome. I love Shailene Woodley. Cool. First trailer for Creed has been released. What? See, 45 minutes ago. That's why we check out the Twitterverse. Guys, I'll be doing a full live reaction to that. No, actually, maybe we could do. Yeah, we'll set up a reaction right now for this, guys, and then I'll chop this out and post it up on the channel. So I'll get that keyed up after we take a look at some of the other stuff here that's trending in the Twitterverse. Taylor Russell, Creed 3 trailer. Yeah, well, I knew that because when they dropped the posters yesterday, I was like, we're going to get a teaser soon, aren't we? Okay, so there it is. We'll take a look at that. We'll do it here in the show. No, we won't. It'll be up on the channel later on today, guys. We'll do that. Who's this? Esther Exposito. I don't know who she is, but I like the dress. Interesting photo. Happy birthday, Barry Keoghan. Keoghan. Yes, because he pronounces the G. He said that in an interview because everybody's like, how do you pronounce your name? How do you He says he pronounces the G in his name. Okay, well, happy birthday, man. And I'm going to see him this weekend, actually. I'm going to see him in Banshees of Inisherin. Barry Keoghan. Cool. Paul Dano. Yeah, I think that's where we left off yesterday. So there you go. Madeline Kine, yeah. Batman. Matt Reeves is in meeting with directors of expanding the Batman universe. Yep, that's cool. That's what I want to see. First trailer for Netflix's The Crown. Yeah, now I heard something was going on with The Crown here. There's been some backlash, and there was supposed to be a Netflix documentary at the same time coming out about Diana and Charles there. Right? This is Diane. Yeah, right, Diane. Oh, I don't know. Let's take a look at. Yeah, there was something here. Let's see. Yeah, there was some story. I can't seem to find it, but something about there that it caused to ruffle some feathers, so they postponed the documentary for that. If you cared about that kind of stuff. All right, guys, let's go and talk. I'm going to stop the show here for today. I'm going to do the reaction to Creed 3 teaser, and that'll be up in the channel in about 20 minutes, maybe less. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining me. Join me tomorrow for more movie news. Guys, there's going to be the Midnight Club episode 4 will be up later today, as well as the Creed 3 reaction. Pay attention to those. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. See you next time for more movie news on Mirror Domains.